I'm out here in the Superstition Mountain Range doing some coyote calling, and then ended up doing quite a bit of quail hunting this morning. It's the end of October in 2022, but I've been reflecting back on 2019, my general elk hunt, quite a bit. And I figured I'd just kind of make a video telling the story. So I decided in 2019 that I was going to put in for the general rifle hunt and hopes that that would increase my chances. Whenever I found out that I had gotten drawn, I was pretty excited because it had been a while since I'd been out hunting and even longer since I'd killed something. So I was excited that this was going to give me an opportunity. And the other big reason I was excited was my position at work. I had just gotten a promotion. So at that time, when I found out I got drawn, I was working 4 10-hour shifts a week, and I had Friday, Saturday, Sundays off. It was a really nice schedule, and I was hopeful that I'd be able to use that extra time, both after work, because I'd get off around 3 or 4 o'clock, as well as the long weekends, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, to do quite a bit of scouting. I wanted to be very similar to some of the buddies that I have who go out and they do a lot of preseason scouting, find an animal, keep tabs on it for a long period of time, kind of know the routine of that animal, and then come opening day, they've got a lot of work already put in, and all they really have to do is go out and partake. My goal was to set out a bunch of game cameras well before the season and kind of get an idea of where they were, and then hopefully be able to do some scouting and follow them as they transitioned into their wintering zone. The other big change I made was I wanted to bring the green quad up to Flagstaff with me so that I could use that as well. Because at the time I had my dad's Ford truck, which does a great job, but it's just, I wanted something that could get me a little bit further back and hopefully a little bit easier. But I had nowhere to store it. At that time we were living in our small apartment, and we had a very small parking lot. There was no place for me to even keep a trailer or anything like that. So I ended up figuring out a way to where I was going to be able to bring the green quad with me. And what I did was I fixed the Ford truck's tailgate so that I could lock the tailgate. That was a small deterrent. I obviously had a padlock and chain that I could padlock it inside the truck. But then the big thing I was going to do was I really only parked in 2 places, in my apartment and then at work. And both of those places I would be able to park in a position where I could back up to a big brick wall. So my hope was that I'd be able to bring the green quad up maybe in October, maybe early November, and get some of that pre-season scouting done with a green quad. That'd give me a month, maybe 2 months of having it in the bed of my truck, which wasn't going to be ideal, but I was going to make it work. The other big thing in my favor for 2019 was because we were doing so well at work, I put in a time off request for the entire hunt, Friday to Thursday. And I got approved for the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. I actually got approved for the Thursday before as well for Thanksgiving. And so I was super excited because this was actually the first time that had ever happened. All of my other hunts I've been able to hunt generally the opening day Friday and then the Saturday and Sunday. So I would have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday to hunt full time. And then my plan was if I still had not knocked one down, I was going to use that Wednesday and Thursday to just go out after work. I was going to have to work those days, but I was planning on being done with work around 3 or 4. So my goal was I wanted to scout some areas closer to Flagstaff that I'd be able to just run out there really quick after I got off work. So after finding out that I got drawn, I did a bunch of e-scouting on our map system, found a bunch of areas that I thought were going to be productive come late November, and majority of those were close to Flagstaff or about halfway in between. So that was kind of my plan. I wanted to do a lot of preseason scouting. I wanted to bring the green quad up. I wanted to set out a bunch of game cams, and I really wanted to find a bull or a herd of bulls and know their routine. Then came the first bump in the road with work. When I found out I got drawn, we had plenty of assistants, plenty of front desk, and by the time I was going to be scouting, that was all going away. We had lost 2 or 3 employees, which was a lot for how small of an office we had. And so I went from working 4 10-hour shifts and having Friday, Saturday, Sunday off to working 5 or 6 12-hour shifts a week. It was a lot of work. It was really draining, So even the weekends where I had Saturday, Sunday off, I never wanted to do anything. I just wanted to stay at home and relax and recuperate for the next week of work. So I didn't get to do nearly any scouting before the hunt, which was real difficult for me because I had all of these anticipations, all of these big plans, and they kind of fell through. The other big problem with work was my original approval for the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday got reduced to the Thursday, Friday, Saturday. They told me I was going to have to come into work Monday after Thanksgiving, and I was going to have to work Monday through Friday that following week. So that was a big bummer to find out. I went from having lots of high hopes of doing a lot of scouting, getting game cams placed, to not being able to scout, as well as anticipating having Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday to hunt, now to only having Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So work was a big drag. I got out one weekend to scout, and I scouted one area close to Flagstaff. Thankfully, I was able to get on 3 bulls, had a relatively good idea of kind of what they were going to be doing. Found a shed while I was out there, but that was my only scouting before the hunt. And so I kind of anticipated that that's where we were going to go opening day. That was really the only area that I knew that there had been elk recently. The second big roadblock came with my Aunt Shelley. She was having some pretty bad medical problems and was in and out of the Flagstaff hospital during the preseason scouting time. So I had family up in Flagstaff from time to time. I was in the hospital helping cover some night shifts with her, which was fine. That really didn't cut into scouting time or anything like that, but it did add to another thing on my plate, preseason scouting time. The big bump in the road was that she ended up passing away the week before the hunt. And so my mom and dad, who were her guardians, they decided that they were going to hold the funeral the Saturday after Thanksgiving. We kind of decided that Saturday we were going to not hunt. We were going to be there for the entire funeral. My mom was really stressing about the setup, the takedown, where everybody was going to sleep. So we just decided we were going to hunt Friday, opening morning. We were going to take Saturday off, and then our original plan was that we were going to hunt a little bit of Sunday. We weren't sure if we were going to take the morning off of Sunday and be there for kind of the family part, or if we were going to kind of ditch out on that part of the family reunion and hunt all day Sunday. The big roadblock was that they were calling for a big, huge snowstorm starting Thursday midday, going all the way through Friday afternoon. So we had to make secondary plans because we weren't sure if we were going to be able to make it all the way to this area up in Flagstaff. We were still going to make an attempt, but we needed a backup plan because the likelihood of it being closed off was pretty high. Little did we know that the snowstorm was going to be quite so large. It snowed all the way down to Cottonwood, which doesn't happen very often. Opening morning, we loaded everything up, decided to take both vehicles, my dad's truck and my Toyota. When we woke up Friday morning, it still hadn't stopped raining. It had started raining Thursday around midday, I want to say, and it was a heavy rain with no stops. It wasn't monsoon at all. And we woke up Friday morning and it was still pouring. My Toyota sunroof was leaking. The passenger seat was drenched. And we loaded up regardless, started to head our way out. Once we got to I-17, we started to head north, but we only made it about a mile before DPS was blocking the road off and was turning everybody around. So again, we found ourselves needing to make a change to our plans. Where we turned around, we couldn't even get to our secondary game plan, where we had planned on hunting in case we got turned around because of the snow, because we never would have thought that they would turn us around so close to Cottonwood. So we ended up driving into Camp Verde. We weren't exactly sure what was going to happen, so we decided, let's wait the storm out just a little bit. Let's wait till sunrise. And we knew we could get to our secondary spot. We just have to take the long way around. We headed to our secondary planned area. It was just a muddy mess. I couldn't believe how slushy it was. And we stopped quite a few times, got out and glassed, pulled out the tripods a couple of times. But it was still snowing pretty good, so we really couldn't see very far. We got to one point where it was still snowing so good, instead of glassing, I decided I was going to do a small circle, put my hiking boots on, and made a pretty good little loop. Kicked up a couple of deer, and then we ended up moving a little bit further forward, another mile or so, probably about 3 or 4 miles away from where I shot my bull back in 2010. And I stopped. I was a little bit ahead of my dad this time. I stopped and started glassing off to the left, got out of my truck, kind of leaned up against the truck in order to stabilize my binos a little bit. Didn't really see anything. My dad came up behind me, put his truck in park. I walked back to his truck and he gave me the classic, well, what do you think? What do you want to do? And I was kind of telling him, you know, it's a pretty good spot here. I might do another hike. And as I'm telling him this, he stops, points off to the right, and says, elk, elk, elk with horns. And I didn't even look where he was pointing. I just turned around, walked straight back to my Toyota, kind of sped walk back to it. Realized I was not prepared at all to see an elk at that time. Opened up the back door, pulled out the gun case, pulled out the gun, pulled out the magazine. I had to find the box of bullets inside my backpack, loaded up the magazine, grabbed my shooting sticks from the back seat, and then walked over to where my dad was. He had gotten out of his truck and walked to the edge and was glassing. I was looking at him through the binos. And he's trying to tell me where it is. He says, it's right behind a bush. You probably can't see it, but it's right here. Giving me some directions on where to look. I start moving to the left, moving to the right, seeing if I can't get a different vantage point to see what he's looking at. And finally the bull moves and starts walking straight away from us. So I get down on my knees, get the gun ready. Now the bull starts trotting. He knows something's up. He feels threatened. So he starts trotting away. All I can see is his butt, his hind, and then his antlers poking up in front of him. And my dad's saying, shoot him anywhere. In his mind, he was thinking, shoot him anywhere, just get a blood trail started. We'll be able to track him pretty well in the snow. I waited a little bit longer until he started to actually come up the hill. We were looking across the little ravine. Once he started up the hill, I was hopeful that I would be able to hit him, not in his butt, but hit him a little higher and hopefully the rib cage. Squeezed off a shot, and the shot rang out before I was ready. The trigger was a little bit more sensitive than I was prepared for, and so I honestly didn't remember where the crosshairs were when the gun went off. Gun goes off, I look up, bull takes off like a bat out of Hades, up and over the ridge, can't see him anymore. My dad asks, well, did you hit him? Did you hit him? I look at him and I say, no, I don't think I hit him. I don't know where the crosshairs were when the gun went off. So if I hit him, that's sheer luck. That's God guiding the bullet, because I certainly wasn't because of my skill. And so we're kind of kicking each other, feeling pretty down, because we felt like God kind of presented this opportunity to us and felt like we had missed our opportunity. So we decided it was worth putting another stock on it. We knew there was a bull in the area, very close. Obviously one that was very scared now, but so what we did is we drove a little bit further. We were looking across this ravine and it was kind of a knoll where this bull was. So we drove a little bit further to where we were almost going to pass this knoll, parked both the trucks, and the goal was Braden and I were going to circle around this knoll where the bull was. Thought behind that was twofold. Either the bull just crested over that hill and then knew that he was protected and stopped, found a place, either standing up more than likely, or he might have bedded down, hoping that we would pass. The other option was on the other side of this knoll. It was kind of one big canyon running this way and another one coming up into it. So there was a possibility that he had dug down into one of these two canyons. But our thought process was there were some big canyons. So if he did dropped down into one of these canyons, he was probably going to be taking things pretty slow. So our goal was we were going to split the difference, go in between the two, in between the knoll and these canyons, so that when we looked off to our right, we'd be able to see the knoll in case this bull had stopped after cresting, but also be able to look off to the left and see both canyons. We had a fantastic view of both of these canyons. I mean, I've never been able to see so much country walking in one direction. We were able to see both the opposite face as well as the face closest to us just because of how the slope was. So really there was nowhere for this bull to hide. So I was feeling really good. Hopes were high. So Braden and I are walking along, checking both sides, and I look off to my right and I see hide. I can see the color of the rear end of this elk again. Immediately pull up my binos, look at it, and from what I can see, the bull's laying down, partially tilted to its side. I can see its butt, and I can see one antler. So the head is obviously laying down, one antler's on the ground, one antler's pointing up, straight up, which generally is a dead elk. I hold back a lot because I'm really worried that the bull's still not dead. I get down, get ready to shoot again. All I can see is the butt whenever I'm kneeling down, ready to shoot. We decide that's not a good idea. I'm fairly confident that it's dead, but we decide to walk towards it, and I'm just ready to drop down to a knee at any point. If I see that head coming up, I'm putting another bullet somewhere. And we walk up straight at it, never lose sight of it, and we get up to it and it's dead. Braden and I could not believe it. We hoot, we holler, yelling for Dad, and we are just ecstatic. I look down at this bull, and the bullet hole is coming like picture perfect out of the kill zone. And I could not believe it, because there's no way that I did that. The bullet went in through the back. So the butt was here, looking up the back, and went in the back, kind of right near the tenderloin area. Went in, did some damage, and came out right where the kill zone is. Couldn't believe it. It looked like I made a perfect shot. I didn't. And so Braden and I are hooting and hollering. I marked the spot on my phone, on my GPS, and I decide instead of walking straight back to the truck, what I want to do is I want to follow this bull's tracks straight back to where he was when I shot him. I want to mark the spot where he was, where I shot him, and I'm going to cross the ravine and mark the spot where we were when I shot. So we walk back, follow his tracks, follow his blood trail, mark the spots, and then we start walking down the road back to where Dad is. And we're still hooting and hollering, and Dad's kind of walking down towards us, and he says, "Did you guys shoot again? I never heard another shot." And we said, "There wasn't another shot. We walked up on this elk, and he was dead already." And you'll hear us say that multiple times in the video because it is just astounding to us. We could not believe it. And so that is a lot of the backstory from this hunt. The rest of this we kind of filmed from that point on after Dad met up with me and Braden. But the backstory just makes the kill that much more sweet because there was so much bitter beforehand. I had originally planned on having Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday full days to hunt, and having partial days that Wednesday and Thursday. I'd originally planned on doing a bunch of scouting, getting a bunch of game cameras out, having the quad up with me, and that all got shortened. Obviously, no scouting, no game cams, no quad. Got one weekend of scouting, and that was only one day. It wasn't even an overnight scouting trip. And then my 5 full days and 2 partial days got cut down to just the Friday, Saturday, Sunday because I had to go into work. Then on top of that, my Friday, Saturday, Sunday got cut down to just Friday and maybe a partial Sunday. So it seemed like these odds were stacked against us. And then opening day, the snowstorm, it just seemed like every curveball that could be thrown our way was thrown our way. And I told Dad and Braden this multiple times. I honestly felt like it was God making sure that I knew that this was a direct blessing from Him. And the after story, I'll tell a little bit later as well, that goes right in line with the after story. This weekend was absolutely a blessing from God. And so I tell Braden and Dad that multiple times. God kind of closed the door and made sure that I knew I was not the one. I couldn't boast about this one. I couldn't brag about how good of a hunter I was. God made sure that everything that could go wrong did go wrong. But that when it came down to it, he presented us with an elk. Not only presented us with a great opportunity, but guided the bullet, because I was certain, I was sure. I would have, if you would have asked me right after I pulled that trigger, what's the likelihood that I hit that bull? I would have said it's less than 10%. I would have said I'm over 90% sure that I missed that bullet. So God guided that bullet. And we say that multiple times through the video.
All right, boys. Video log. We gotta go. We gotta go get her. She's down, or he. I keep saying she.
I know. So
to he. It's because I've been on Braden's hunt.
A little snowy.
It is a little snowy. Yeah. A little windy too.
Oh man.
It's got a view.
Yeah.
Holy cow! It's so beautiful. Like literally perfect spot for that.
There's the killer. Opening day Ray, baby.
No flipping way that was a flipping miracle. God's hand was in it.
Absolutely.
Lots of prayers went out towards this hunt, so.
Look how beautiful it is out here.
It is gorgeous. Like, woo! Give me a little hand.
Hey, boys.
I wish we would have got your reaction on
Yeah,
that.
no joke.
Yeah, we walked around and I was just starting to think we should go to where we thought he was hit to find his tracks and track him. We saw him laying.
Really?
Yep. So hot. Woo! There's no. That's why we were so astounded, Dad, because there was no way. I'm telling you, God had his hand.
Because you guys were hooting and hollering, and I thought, where's the shot? I never heard the shot.
There wasn't one.
Yeah, that
Just
is
laying
crazy.
down dead.
That is crazy.
Definitely an answer to prayers.
Oh, yeah.
When you shot, he was turned a little bit.
When I remember shooting, he was looking straight away, so.
Because I was watching him in the binos. But see, he was walking straight away once you saw him
Right
after the shot, probably, because he was a little sideways when you pulled the trigger.
Oh.
I know, because I heard the gun. I was standing right behind you.
That is just amazing. Ah, good time with the bros.
Woo-hoo, boys! Go get our elk.
Braden, you remember standing right next to him and seeing the storm coming up the hill?
Mm-hmm.
This is what we saw.
Yeah.
Snow coming.
Yep. We could see it coming.
No more shot. That is just crazy, guys.
There is no flipping way. That is
Ooh,
just.
Whoa! This is quicksand right here. Wow. Braden doesn't. He doesn't quite feel it like we do.
I'm a little light. Woo!
Get our elk, boys.
That would be a cool picture. All right. Literally, he probably saw the elk for 15 seconds, and there was no more than 2 minutes between the first shot and us hiking up on it. That is just a
So you never
blessing.
saw him standing
no,
over here.
no, zero. Walked on him dead.
That is beautiful. That is beautiful, boys.
Absolutely
Gorgeous.
gorgeous. No sky. Literally zero whiteout. That's what it is. I'm telling you what, my hand is getting cold from this camera though.
Knoll, Dad.
Huh?
Other side of the knoll here.
There, I just pressed pause and play. Don't ask why. Yes, I did though. Woohoo!
Yeah, baby.
The video stopped again. Just then though. I caught it. Hold up, Logie. He's probably right on that upside, right? Aha! Alright, come on. I want to get in the back. I want to videotape this. I've already seen it.
I can see some fur, boys.
Woo!
Crazy. That's insane. Wow, all the way over at the very edge there. Oh, looking back this way?
Yep. Because we were trying to get another shot off. Because there was no way that we got it. But I mean, guess what? Logan, you did. There he is.
Look at that, babe. That's a nice little rack, dude.
Go ahead and pose with it. Go ahead and pose with it, Logan.
Yeah, baby. What do you think, Dad? That's awesome, dude. Counts as a 4x4. Woo! I'll take it, baby. Right there, Dad. Oh.
She's a beaut. I mean, oh my goodness, I keep on calling. Right there.
Photos.
All right, and a
Might be able to
video.
set it up in that tree. You might be able to.
Woo!
Hello, it's me. I was wondering if after all these years you lied to me.
Send me your location, let's focus on communicating, cause I just need the time and place to come through.
You were the shadow to my light. Did you feel us? Another star, you fade away.
Cause you are unforgettable, I need to get you alone. Ooh,
Just gonna
stand there and watch me burn, but that's alright because I like.
All right. Everybody.
Woo! Woo!
Yeah, baby. The Ray
Got us
boy
an
got her.
elk.
Opening day. Opening day Ray. One shotter.
Oh,
He's a goner.
yep.
Spread out. Let's show that. Got a rack. 4x4. Got one broken off.
She is beautiful.
But it still broke off, but it's split too. So
Yeah,
this side hadn't split yet.
that is beautiful.
Heck yeah. Yeah. That's awesome.
Ow. Okay.
Woo! Woo! That's right. All right, we got her. Show me the horn. Look, Brady. Woo! Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is just
It's a blizzard out here. All right. Ready, bug. And thank goodness he didn't go down into that canyon. That's where he was planning on going.
The way it hurts. Can we pretend that airplanes in the night sky are like shooting stars? I could really use a wish right now, wish right now, wish right now.
So love me like you do, love me like you do. Touch me like you do, touch me like you do.
I remember years ago, someone told me I should take caution when it comes to love. I did.
It's been a long day without you, my friend. And I'll tell you all about it when I see you again.
So shine bright tonight, you and I. We're beautiful like diamonds in the sky.
I tell him that it's human nature. Why does he say you can't live without me. So why aren't you dead yet? Why are you still breathing? You say you can't live
That you got,
without
boys.
me.
And I sleep when you're out there. With all my love, I become so numb. I can't feel you.
Become so tired, so much more aware. But you'll never be alone. I'll be with you from dusk till dawn. I'll be with you from dusk till dawn. Baby, I'm right here. I'll hold you when things go wrong. I'll be with you from dusk till dawn. I'll be with you from dusk till dawn. Baby, I'm right here.
Because you guys were hooting and hollering, and I thought, where's the shot? I never heard the shot.
There wasn't one.
Yeah, that
Just
is
laying down
crazy.
dead.
That is crazy. Woo-hoo-hoo, boys! Go get our elk. I can see some fur, boys.
Woo! There he is.
Look at that, babe. That's a nice little rack, dude.
I really enjoyed walking up on this elk with Dad because it's getting more and more difficult for him to hike. And so he's kind of following Grandpa Richard's suit in that Grandpa Richard used to do a lot of hunting. Then he kind of brought my dad into it, and he kind of had to transition out of it because of health, because of his knees and feet. And I remember being with Grandpa Richard out in the woods and not really realizing how precious those moments were until he no longer could. And I saw my grandfather and my dad a lot this hunt. When we're walking up and he's walking through the snow, and his biggest joy is sharing these moments with us. That's why he puts together these hunts and why he pays so much for all of this equipment, because he enjoys being out there with his boys. He enjoys the process after an elk is down, after a deer is down. He doesn't have to be the one to pull the trigger, but he enjoys being out there. And some of his comments and his reactions, all I could see was my grandfather. All I could see was Richard. And so it was fun. I was glad that we were able to walk all out there together. I was glad we got it all on video. The blessings were abundant. Obviously, I kind of went over the majority of those with the fact that it was so bitter before it was so sweet. Having all of these odds stacked against us, and yet God coming through and providing in the end. But then to top everything off, because we got it opening morning, we had plenty of time to go to the processor, drop the elk off, made it back to Cottonwood, did a bunch to help set up and prepare for the funeral. Obviously, I was able to be there Saturday for the entire funeral, and then I was able to work on the elk European mount in the garage most of the day Sunday. You know, I was there for the family reunion part, but then after that was kind of said and done, I just kind of tucked myself into the garage and worked on the European mount. Thankfully got that completely knocked out because I didn't want to have to take it to Flagstaff and deal with it because I didn't have an area. We were in a small apartment. I couldn't do it inside our kitchen. I didn't have a backyard like we did in Cottonwood. So I was able to get that taken care of. Those were two huge blessings. Being able to be there for my mom and help with the setup and the takedown, and being able to participate in the funeral. And then some of the other major blessings that came of it is that was actually the weekend that Slate was conceived. Emma just stopped taking her birth control, and we had just decided we were going to start trying to start our family. That's a whole other story in and of itself. And that was a huge blessing. Obviously, I didn't know it at the time, but when we found out later that she was pregnant and kind of worked the dates backwards, we found out when we conceived, and it was that same weekend. The other huge blessing that was kind of the cherry on top of everything was my wife and I went home Sunday late evening, got home, and earlier during the time of Shelley going back and forth to the hospital, I had gotten an interview with Indiana University Dental School. The weekend of my hunt, Sunday night at, I think it was 10 o'clock our time, midnight their time, they were going to send out the acceptance or rejection letters. So my wife and I stayed up until 10, and I got an acceptance letter that night. So some pretty major blessings, even after the blessing of harvesting an elk. Any one single blessing that happened that weekend would have been fantastic. And the fact that they all happened in the 3-day span is just a testament to me that God is good, God is ever present in our lives, and I hope that I do him justice in my prayers and in my actions to show that I recognize his hand in all things, because this was certainly a weekend that opened my eyes to that yet again. His hand leads and guides me way more than I know, but this weekend he let me know. And he showed me just how powerful he is and just how blessed I can be. And for that reason, this will be a hunt to be remembered. Not because of the size of the elk. He's not massive. You saw in the video. But the fact that everything was stacked against us, and yet so many blessings came from it. I just can't explain it. And every time I think about this story, I think about each individual blessing or each individual trial, and I just can't believe it. It's honestly awe-inspiring to me, and I'm just grateful to be a part of it. I'm glad Dad and Braden were able to be a part of it as well. Looking forward to Slate growing up and being a part of my hunting experiences. Elliot's starting to get into a little bit of these hunting experiences, and I just enjoy it. The camaraderie that comes from it is very unique, and obviously I enjoy being out in the woods. I do it a lot by myself, but I enjoy it even more when I'm out with my family, my friends. So 2019 will definitely be a hunt to remember.